All right, welcome back to Biashara Tuesday. Interact with us on the hashtag Biashara Tuesday. Rise today on all the social platforms. We are live on Facebook, by the way, KUTV Kenya. Keep the comments coming in, yeah? Tell us what you think. We are having a look at the headlines with Bwana Derek here, who is also the youth organizer at Azimio la Umoja. I'm going to join Hapa to, maybe get a perspective or his angle on what he thinks is happening in the world of politics and also a bit into matters of business. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you, sir.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How was your weekend? Let's begin there.
Due to the opaque nature, my weekend was fine.
You cannot own the happenings of the weekend.
Exactly.
It was fine, though.
Yeah, it was fine.
Welcome to Biashara Tuesday.
Exactly.
A lot is happening, a lot of headlines, of course, hard-hitting headlines from the Standard, the Daily Nation, and the Business Daily as well. I don't know which one is the one that is eye-catching for you. I think I will lean more into the business side, which is the Business Daily, on how exactly the government or the incoming government will be handling the budget of the fiscal year starting July 2023. However, I don't know what has been your main concern or your most attraction on the headlines.
Exactly. The headlines about Kakamega, Mombasa, the elections.
Right. The race over in Mombasa and Kakamega, the first thing, of course, we've seen is the low voter turnout,
exactly.
Right? On the Standard here, they are showing the numbers in who is leading in Mombasa and who's leading in Kakamega County. If you take a look at as of 11:30 p.m. yesterday night, both counties, none of the, barely 100,000 in terms of the votes that have been counted so far. I don't expect much to be happening even as they continue to tally today. I might be wrong, I might not be wrong, but you are someone who was on the ground. Why is there, maybe you can begin there, why are we witnessing voter apathy, low voter turnout, especially even the youth who are the majority? We expect them to come out and showcase their participation in the polls.
Thank you very much. Actually, the low voter turnout is associated with so many things. First, the current presidential election petition, which is happening. So Kenyans, some of them feel tired because it's unwise. If you go to the polling station, you vote, then at the end, you are your best candidate. Maybe is being denied the opportunity to serve you through the ballot, maybe through some of crafty ways. So it also leads to that. And again, maybe the mobilization of the voters. That might also be the case.
So by mobilization, you mean do we need to get more people out? And as of course you've been an organizer for the Azimio side, how did you do that?
Actually, mobilization starts with the youth. Like me personally, during the previous election, we're mobilizing youth, having meetings with the youth across the country. Probably, I was in CIA. We're mobilizing youth, and when the youth have the psyche, the morale of the election, they'll also influence the elderly and the elderly. So maybe on mobilization part was also not that good as we expected.
What kind of motivation or have you seen which can be applied, of course, during this mobilization efforts to bring out more of this youth? What kind of motivation were you giving them, which of course led them to also bring out the elderly? And maybe we can learn from that and apply it in the future polls.
Yes. Rich, there's the issue of voter mobilization. The youth feel well and accommodated when they are being involved in key decision making. For example, when the leader, like my area MCA and the MP, we called a meeting and the MP was there, the MCA was there. So they feel that involvement. So they work with motive and morale, knowing that the government they are fighting for is for them. Yes, and that gives them.
So being involved in that kind of decision-making process is something that whoever is gunning for office should be considering. You can take a look at the races which are happening for the gubernatorial positions in Mombasa and Kakamega, spread out, of course, as I said, in the page 8. And the results so far, ODM is leading. You being from the Azimio side, are you confident you're going to maintain the lead to the end?
Actually, we have no doubt.
Yeah.
that the Mombasa and the Kakamega seats
Mhm.
are going to come to Azimio,
Mhm.
the ODM ticket. The result we are seeing here, these we are not doubting the results,
Mhm.
because from the ground they reflect what is the ground, especially now that the voter turnout, but the results are still just okay.
Right. There were issues of or concerns of bribery allegations, and we've seen this in the member of parliament race in Rongai, and we've seen also over in Kakamega County where there have been, or yesterday, a couple of people were kicked out of polling stations in various locations because of trying to get into the polling stations. They are not participating in the elections, but also trying to, pay off a few voters to move over to their most preferred sides. Even former cabinet secretary allegedly, that is participating in voter bribery in Kakamega, that is Rashid Echesa. Is this a norm now? Do we not have enough security agencies to ensure that this is not happening right inside the polling stations? Or how exactly is this being allowed to happen? We know that it's a norm before the elections for the politicians to go around dishing out a few coins here and there, but right inside the polling stations?
Actually, the power, those who has power, we call it people with the power in quotes, they tend to feel that they can access anything. Also, they can access ways of that leads at the end. They are the people who are benefiting. Like yesterday, we saw the MP, the incumbent for Rongai, that is Raymond Moi. He was crying in quotes, crying that there's a lot of voter bribery, and maybe he was frustrated, by the way, because if you see MPs from Kenya Kwanza, he said that majority of MPs were deployed, worked as mobilizer in the area, and that's the guy was frustrated, and at the end you see the UDA candidate, that is Paul Chebor. So he's taking early lead.
Right.
Exactly.
So this is still just a few leaders who are trying to bypass the due process of the Electoral and Boundaries Commission. And we're going to get into, of course, the big question which is being asked on the Daily Nation, on the front page there: will IEBC pass the independence test? Even as we take a look at some of these voter bribery allegations and also, trying to manipulate the results, is the IEBC conducting a free, or did they conduct, and still, because elections are still going on, are they conducting a free and fair election? Before I get your view on that, as someone who's an organizer and who was on the ground, yes, results which are coming in from Kakamega County show that Fernandez Baraza, as of this morning, is leading with 192,768 votes, and followed closely, of course, by Cleophas Malala at 159,275. So you said you were very confident.
We are confident because Malala is also not that weak candidate. He's also strong, he's loved. But when it comes to victory, the ODM.
A very curious case yesterday of social media accounts of incumbent governor Wycliffe Oparanya being hacked, or allegedly hacked, to endorse Cleophas Malala. Was that a hack, or is he actually in support of Malala?
To me, in my own opinion, that's my thought,
Okay.
Because I still have no solid evidence to base my accusation on that. By that is a strategy. Politics is all about strategy.
All right.
Because the people of Kakamega and also the politicians, they still know that Wycliffe Oparanya is still the kingpin when it comes to Kakamega politics. So maybe they wanted to sway the voters, because if you see your working governor endorsing someone, and this governor overworked for you, so maybe it will brainwash your mind and vote otherwise.
All right, so Fernandez Baraza is ahead of Cleophas Malala in Kakamega County. You can have a look at those results. a lot of comments, of course, coming here. Ishaenda na Barasa, think of all the stolen money that trashed the kingpins. That's Gideon Nyakora. I don't know what that is being aimed towards, but yes, continue giving us your feedback. Now, we had just touched there a bit on what is in the headlines of the Daily Nation. The buck stops here at IEBC. Did they conduct a free, fair, and credible elections? And are they still doing that? IEBC chairman Wafula Chebukati was given an election, or given the mandate to deliver an election which is credible and verifiable at a budget which is really huge, yeah? So 46 billion being used towards an election where petitions are being filed left, right, center. 8 of them, of course, being filed at the Supreme Court, which they are going to be having deliberations as of this morning, 11 a.m. Before we get into the petitions, yes, did Chebukati deliver a free and fair elections?
In my own opinion, and the facts that cutting across IBC, to me, the election was not free and fair, because for a free and fair election, you cannot have the split of the IBC commissioners, even if they were of interest. Maybe 2 of the IBC officials were in Kenya Kwanza, 2 of the IBC, some of the IBC officials were supporting Azimio. You know, they cannot be split because everything, so the results, if they were verified and final result be given, I doubt if we could have the split in IBC. Right. Because at the end, when the final result could not go well with some of the commissioners, they'll have no doubt, because they will just say, this, even if we doubt it, lost, yeah, even if we have lost, but everything was transparent.
So it's really, we can say without a doubt whatsoever that this is not an independent commission. The fact that still we have a split right there in the middle.
As it stands, this is not still an independent.
So Raila Odinga, who is of course, the leading candidate and the presidential candidate for Azimio, says that regardless of the decision that the Supreme Court comes up with, whether they nullify or uphold the elections, if they nullify the elections and we have to go for a rerun, he will not like the current IEBC chairman to preside over this kind of election. When we get such a stalemate, such as we did in 2017, we go through a petition to the Supreme Court, they nullify the elections, and we have to go for another fresh election, where, as we saw in 2017, Raila Odinga refused to participate because the same commission was the one conducting the elections. Do we have time to maybe create a new commission? Is that the way forward? And what is your thought process on what exactly can pan out in a scenario where the Supreme Court nullifies the election and Raila Odinga refuses to participate?
Exactly. Let me take you back a bit. For example, you are in a class and you have done your exam or you have done your CAT. Then after the results come out, you have 3 out of 30. Yet, if you go to your answer sheet, you see there are some of the things you got right from the module or from the textbook, but you have been wrong. That one you must claim, right? And you will start questioning the lecturers towards that. And maybe if you remind him or him or her about the marks, he or she will give you a reason. But if he fails to give you a reason, then you must have doubt. You must have great doubt about that. So the Azimio coalition head, that's Raila Odinga, if he insists that he wants a new chairman or a new part of the IBC, it's within his constitutional rights, so he has the right to do so. But I'm sure the Constitution has a way of handling that.
Right. Yes. On page 2 of the Standard, also their President-elect William Ruto asking the Supreme Court to expunge affidavits from those commissioners who fell out with their chairman. So it looks like still on Kenya Kwanza they're not confident with the whole commission, especially because there's that split. Half of them saying that they are not satisfied with the results, and Ruto saying those ones are the ones who are on the wrong. The other side on the Azimio, also pointing out to the chairman, saying that he's on the wrong and whatever he delivered as results cannot really be credible. Also, Ruto asking that they be locked out, all these commissioners be locked out of the case that is happening over at the Supreme Court. Which brings me to the question. And the big question is, does Azimio la Umoja have a case to present at the Supreme Court? Is their case strong enough for us to be considering it, or for the Supreme Court either to nullify or order a fresh count of the votes?
Rich, you can, just like any other petition, you cannot go to Supreme Court without evidence. More so, an evidence that you know well will be dead on arrival. And if you follow closely between the two principles that from Kenya Kwanza, His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto and Right Honorable Raila Odinga from Azimio, if you look very well, and the measures or the points at which the Azimio is defending the 4 commissioners is different from the way Kenya Kwanza are defending Chebukati, because, and that's bring clearly that there's something behind the curtain, which we will be yet to know in near future.
Right.
But because if the president-elect supports the person who announced him as the president-elect, that's somehow, there's an interest somewhere.
Right. And actually that is one of those things here which have been mentioned by Azimio's affidavit, saying that the results which were announced by Chebukati were done so, and this was without public announcement of results from 27 constituencies. Chebukati coming out, of course, to respond and saying that he was forced to declare Ruto as president-elect without public declaration of those 27 constituencies due to a limited timeline and prevailing conditions at the National Tallying Center. Azimio say they have proved their case beyond doubts, and they are waiting only for the court to see the facts which have been presented before them, and maybe hopefully lead to the recount or the nullification of these results. So you can take a look at that on page 3 of the Standard, and also which is pouring over to page 4, where there is also that concern of intrusion of the IEBC portal by third parties. We have that scenario of 3 Venezuelan nationals who were arrested in Nairobi, in JKIA, just before elections, and also now claims that there was hacking which was done on the portal by IEBC, replacing Form 34As. These situations of hacking, system integrity, have also been witnessed by the side of Azimio, where one of the ODM agents is coming out to say that one of the forms which have been submitted at the Supreme Court, one of the Form 34As, is fake. How do we have, as someone who's been on the ground, who was on the ground also during the election period, how do we have fake documents showing up in between, and also system integrity? Will we ever, let me just phrase it in a positive way, will we ever be really fully prepared in terms of systems and technology to hold an election?
Actually, if those in charge of election are transparent, they decide to be transparent, they don't want intrusion from either parties, that one will have a free and fair election, or the election process. For example, the reason why that is so, because the other day you saw some of the POs, presiding officers, showing up at the Azimio lawyers' offices, that they are not confident of some of the Form 34As that were submitted. So that also clearly tells you that something.
So we need to have a commission that is independent and transparent before we get to issues of whether the system is working and rigging claims. Now, since we've already had a look at the numbers coming from Mombasa and Kakamega, and we've seen there's voter apathy, low voter turnout as well, people not participating, even looking at the total number of voters who did come out in the August poll, 14 million against a backdrop of 20 plus million who were supposed to show up at the polls. Also not considering that we have a 50 million population. A question here on the Standard that is being asked in, I forget what page that was, yes, on page 10. On page 10 of the Standard, Kenyans' focus on the presidency is misplaced. Here, Dennis Kabara is postulating that it is important that maybe we focus more on other positions that are not the presidency. We are heavily invested in the presidency, and he claims that national level legislatures are fine and good, but all the development, all the politics is local. Here's where your governor comes in, your MCA comes in, where devolution takes place. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I totally agree with that. And also based from before election, the previous sentiments by Senior Counsel Martha Karua, who is also the deputy Azimio head. You saw her saying that in Kiswahili, and I don't want to say that.
Okay.
He say elect a good MCA, MP, and governor, women rep, senator. That's when you will also focus on the presidency. Because if you focus on the presidency, the president has a lot of mandate. It is your MCA or your MP who will reach the president to tell him or her the issues that are affecting you on the ground.
Okay.
But you, if you focus just on the president alone and you neglect electing a good MCA, like what I can tell you, now we are seeing a new crop of leadership, and the way the incoming governors, the governors elect who are just sworn in the other day.
Right.
You see, they're coming up with new strategies as far as development is concerned. You see, the other day in Turkana, the governor-elect, there he was walking, touring at the hospitals,
Right.
and he was surprised of seeing some patients lying down. You see, and today you saw Irungu Kangata say talking about the medicine and how it should be.
Right.
And in Nairobi, you saw yesterday Sakaja impounded the motorbikes riders, and those are some of the
key things that people should focus
exactly.
in. Even as you say that, of course, new governors coming in. Looking at the numbers here that are on the standard page 10, by the numbers we're talking, 30 new governors out of 45. Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's possible that we punish if a governor isn't, taking care of the revenue, taking care of the bills, taking care of water and health, roads everywhere, all these promises that they give. It's possible that if we focus on that level of the governor, the MCA, the women representative, by the way, who is also someone who plays a really key role. And I'm seeing here there have been 31 new senators, as I said, out of the ones who are coming in, 45. 34 new women reps out of the 47, and 146 new MPs out of 286. So it's time that we did actually focus on what the local government, where devolution is concerned, and where the electorals are in touch with the leadership.
Exactly. Like in my county, this round we focused on electing leaders who can serve us. The other day you saw our governor, Senior Counsel James Agriboborengo, and his deputy. Those are two intellects that can be trusted with development issues as far as the county is concerned. Also, you saw as re-electing our member of parliament, that is Honorable Samuel Atandi. So that somehow tells you that nowadays the electorates are much wiser compared to the previous one, because in our constituency, it's only an MP can only be elected once. Okay. And you are elected once, you go, they find another new one. But this case, it was different. And he won with a lot of votes. Okay. Imagine, there was a bigger margin. So that tells you how the electorates now are much prepared.
Right. And politics is local now.
Exactly.
The third wave. This, I think, is the third time since the new constitution, the third round of elections. So we are hoping that it's also a third wave where we are at least trying to focus on some of those ballot or some of those polls which are happening on the local level. So now the incumbent, the government that is going to take over from President Uhuru Kenyatta's administration here, according to the Business Daily, they're saying they're going to have to start doing budget allocation, and this is still on the policies that were in place by Uhuru Kenyatta's administration based on the uncertainty when the new head of office will take place. We're going to have a scenario where we go to petitions for a couple of months and a couple of weeks, and if we go for another rerun, it means we still have more time before we can fully settle in to the next government. Do you feel like the political instability or that indecision, that uncertainty on who is going to take head of office is creating any sort of tension in the country? As someone who is also, of course, in touch with the youth on the ground, someone who's an organizer, and how can youth maintain calm even in this uncertain situation?
What I can tell my fellow youths, that even if we go for a rerun, just ensure you do your democratic right of voting, but don't engage in unpeaceful matters. We say zuia vurugu, elections bila noma. So you just do the right thing,
right?
Because at the end you will never see a politician taking his or her son to riot or ban things. And even this one I can advise our youth also. The time that you are disagreeing with the election and going to ban resources within your area, that one you are a threat to development of that area.
Right.
Exactly.
All right. So even as we have a look at the petitions and also see whether or there's a possible rerun, Moses Kuria's case has been thrown out by the Supreme Court, and Moses Kuria's, of course, petition was seeking to throw out Raila's suit, saying that the violence or the mini chaos which was experienced at the Bomas of Kenya was a result of the agents of Raila Odinga, and therefore he does not have a case to present in the Supreme Court. But it turns out, as I said, I think we actually did say it last week here jokingly, that with Vincent Odundo, when we were doing a newspaper review here, that Moses Kuria does not have a case. And it turns out he actually does not.
Moses Kuria does not have a case.
Did you expect his case to hold water?
That one was normal, and the case was dead on arrival. But it's good, he tried his best.
All right.
You know.
He tried his best, and also something that people also have been saying, even in the opinion columns here on the Standard and in the Daily Nation, is that some of these things are also really good in firewalling democracy, creating a very strong democratic environment even into the future. So regardless of whether there's nullification or upholding of the elections this time round, still we've made a few strides towards having a transparent and free, fair and transparent election.
Exactly. And my great concern and my happiness is both sides, that is Kenya Kwanza and the Azimio, they have preached peace.
Right.
They have preached peace all the way, but there can't be peace without justice.
Right.
So justice comes, then peace prevails.
If you go for a rerun, do you, in your confidence, say who will win? Right. Let's see who will win between Raila Amolo Odinga. We are going for a fresh rerun. Raila Amolo Odinga there, and also DP Ruto again for another round to determine who is the fifth. You've been in touch with the ground. You are organizing for the Azimio Umoja side. Will Raila Odinga win it?
Yeah, we are confident, but
what will change? What will change?
Maybe the strategists have told you about the mobilization. That is key. That is key. I think that is the key thing,
right,
when a rerun is called, because now we cannot talk about a rerun on a case that is still in court.
Okay.
We just leave our learned friends to handle that case with care, but we are optimistic we are going to win this.
All right.
Exactly.
So we shall be having our eyes all on the Supreme Court as they make that decision. Ensure you're having also your perspective and also opinion on what is happening, but based on facts, of course, all spread in the dailies this morning. As I said, the Business Daily has much more on business, on budget, and the economy. And this is regards, of course, to what is happening there at the Supreme Court. Uncertainty on who is going to be head of state. However, national budget is still getting the estimates coming from the Cabinet Secretary to the Treasury are still ongoing. And should the Supreme Court nullify the result, and this leads to the disbandment of, or because of that split of the IEBC, it will take months before a new president takes office, which means whoever takes office still has to work under outgoing President Uhuru Kenyatta's policies, before tweaking them and trying to implement their very own. Get a copy of the Business Daily and see what you can invest in as well. I'll be having a look into this as we go on with the show. Today is also another day for you to try out NYS, National Youth Service, which will be running for the next 6 days. Do you encourage people to join NYS?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's good for the nation, trying to see that the youth are also involved in developmental programs by the government. So if you can try out the NYS, please go there and try your luck and tell us how that goes. Your last remarks, of course, Bwana Derek, as we go on for this short break, on your expectations on the Supreme Court, whether on the Supreme Court, the elections over at Kakamega and Mombasa, and what maybe the country can expect in the next few days.
When we go to the elections at Mombasa and Kakamega, we are very much confident that the ODM candidates, the Azimio candidates, will carry the day. And also in Kakamega, so it's a tight race, by the way, but we are optimistic that Fernandez Baraza will carry the day.
By the end of today,
yes,
hopefully.
Lastly, maybe.
Right.
Also know our first years are coming aboard.
Yeah, okay. Here, before I let you go, I'm going to have you read the quote at the back of the Business Daily. It's customary that we have our guest read that for us.
Yes.
You are someone who is over at the Azimio side, which also entails ODM, Jubilee as the main parties and others. Jubilee is auctioning their building, right? The headquarters, and Stanbic Bank is doing that. Maybe chini ya maji too. Is that the end of the party? The Jubilee party?
No, because personally I don't think that's the end of the party, because the end of the party cannot be decided by auctioning of a building. Exactly.
Right.
Maybe they just want to auction the reason why they are auctioning that building, majority we don't know.
They might be moving to
moving to a better place, or maybe they are tired of being there.
Okay.
So there are so many reasons.
So there's nothing political with Jubilee auctioning.
I doubt.
Okay, so if you're those people who are yesterday crying over the internet or just shouting and saying Jubilee is dead because of that headquarters, maybe let's wait and see what kind of communication comes over from the Jubilee party. Last words from the Business Daily.
There are two primary choices in life: to accept conditions as they exist, or accept the responsibility for changing them.
All right. Can we get that again?
There are two primary choices in life: to accept conditions as they exist, or accept the responsibility for changing them.
Right. That's the national speaker for, his name is Dennis
Waitley.
Yes, Dennis Waitley. That is it on the newspaper reviews this morning. If you have anything that you'd like to add on to what we just discussed with Mr. Derek here, please do tell us on all the social media platforms. I'll be reading that. It is 8:25 in the morning. Biashara Tuesday is going all the way to 10 a.m. Much more business is coming up. #Biashara Tuesday. Do not go far. We'll be right back.